Hey everyone, I want to thank you again for tuning in. Growing up, I was pretty convinced that I wanted to be president someday. I think I needed a big goal to keep me dreaming and focused, and that would seem to be lofty enough. The trouble was that I didn't have any guiding principles that were grounding me, and it seemed like the way to get to the top was to say whatever I needed to say to get the job done, and to go after it by any means necessary. It didn't take me long, though, to realize that trying to do this by my own power, by manipulative means, was not going to be too good for my health. I remember sitting in one interview for a prestigious position that I thought would be helpful in my resume. I was trying to say whatever needed to be said to impress the people who were there and to make myself out to be awesome. I was being actually untrue to myself. My insides were fighting the way that I was going about it. So much that it was actually physically manifesting in my body. I remember I was sitting there in the interview and my mouth started twitching a little bit like this as I bent the words to come out of my mouth to tell the story that I thought they wanted to hear. But I know now that the small manipulative ways that I was starting off with then would have just been the beginning. Gone unchecked, it would have resulted in much more than just a nervous twitch. I'm sure my whole life would have been a confusing bed of deception. I probably wouldn't enjoy the same close relationships like I do now with my family and friends. The people closest to me would have been necessary expenditures to get where I needed to go. And worst of all, at some point, I probably would have lost my own sense of identity and self-worth in the process. I've always been taught that the name Jacob means deceiver and manipulator. And in the beginning of his story, he really lived up to his name, didn't he? He tricks his brother out of his birthright and his blessing. But after Jacob had a visitation with God, God changed his name. And this was a significant moment in his leadership development. God was saying, you don't have to be manipulative to get what you want anymore. Just trust me and I'll make you a great name, a great leader in all the earth. Do you know what drove me to begin my leadership pursuits by manipulating others? Deep down, it was a distrust of God. I thought I was the only person who cared enough about my dreams to make them happen. So I had to resort to every method at my disposal, no matter how sketchy, to get the job done. That's why I relate to Jacob so much. But you know, in the end, Jacob, Israel, trusted God so much that he was willing to sacrifice everything to do the right thing in seeking relationship, even with his brother. So let's talk about you and your leadership. There are two paths in front of you. One is complete with self-reliance. It will require you to use any means available to you to advance and to gain the influence that you want. The other is completely opposite. It trusts the word, like Jeremiah 29:11, that says God already knows the plans he has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. On that path, you trust him with your future. You never resort to deceptive means to get what you want, even if it looks impossible, because your hope is in God. How do you want to start your leadership journey from here? Which path will you venture down? I look forward to hearing your thoughts and comments on the city.